see the presentation screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, good evening, everyone. I just want to start off by thanking the Pacific Palisades Community Council for allowing the City of Los Angeles to present on the Potrero Canyon Pedestrian and Bicycle Bridge project. Before starting the presentation, most important, we want to extend our deepest sympathies for the residents that have lost their homes and much more in the fire and been profoundly impacted by it. I know it's difficult times right now. And, we just want to be clear that this is not a project that we are going into construction this year or even the following year. We are in the very early stages of the project, and the intent is to keep the community informed and engaged as well. And with having this presentation, we are being mindful of the rebuild process is more about restoring stability, homes, and security in the community, not just about developing the infrastructure. So, moving forward in the project, we want to, be clear that we want to work closely with the community and stakeholders to make sure the priorities align. With that, I'll go ahead and go over today's agenda. We'll be going over the introductions on the city side and our consultant team, and then give a brief overview on the project background, where we're at, the project approach that we're going to be taking, and go over a couple of the public agency stakeholders that are involved in this project, and give a status on the environmental document and what we need to move forward. And lastly, some more information on community outreach. Next slide, Matt. Thank you. Okay, so my name is Sylvia Dimdis. I'm with the City of Los Angeles Bureau of Engineering in the Bridge Improvement Division and the project manager for this project. I've been managing and delivering projects with the city for 8 years now, from the pre-design phase and through construction. I'm looking forward to presenting this project as well as hearing the community's feedback. With that, I'll pass it over to Jose.
Thank you, Sylvia. My name is Jose Beristain. I'm a senior civil engineer with the Bridge Improvement Division. I'll be providing a little oversight on this project. You guys may remember me from, I want to say, about a year ago, where I was covering for Sylvia while she was on maternity leave. With that, I'll hand it over to Mary Nemec. Is Mary on? Maybe not.
Oh, I was muted. Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us here tonight. We're really pleased to be able to present an update to all of you. Mary Nemec, I'm the Director of Communications for the Bureau of Engineering. I'll hand that off to Matt.
Thanks, Mary. My name's Matt Negretti. I'm with Jacobs Engineering, and we're the consultant that's been, I'm managing the effort that the city has hired us to do. I've been with Jacobs for 26 years, civil engineer, delivering transportation infrastructure projects throughout the Western United States. Also representing Jacobs is Erin DeMarco. She's unable to join today, but she's the deputy project manager on this project, and we've worked on numerous City of Los Angeles BOE projects over the past couple of decades. Zoltan, will you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Zoltan Pali. I'm principal at SPF Architects, and I am the lead design architect for the bridge. We've worked on several other bridges in the city, as most recently the Taylor Yard Bridge, and just east of downtown LA.
Thanks, Zoltan. Jason?
Yeah, hi everyone. Jason Jackson with Ariano Associates, serving as the public outreach arm of the team. Been in the engagement world since 2016, city planning prior to that, and definitely happy to be back in front of you this year and moving this project along, getting your input and really helping to rebuild the community.
Thanks, Jason. Tim?
Good evening, everyone. Tim Hayes, a principal of SOMAS, and I'm responsible and the lead for the Caltrans coordination.
Thanks, Tim. Sylvia, back to you.
Thank you. Okay, the next slide, please, Matt. Thank you. Okay, so the proposed project is located adjacent to and spanning over the Pacific Coast Highway, approximately half a mile southeast of Temescal Canyon Road in the Pacific Palisades area. The project proposes to provide a safe and efficient crossing for pedestrian and bicyclists by constructing a bridge, and it will be connecting the George Wolfberg Park Apacharo Canyon to the Will Rogers State Beach. Just a little bit background on how this project was developed. The George Wolfberg Park was a city project that was completed in December 2022, open to the public. As part of the Coastal Commission permit, specifically Amendment 11 for the park, it required that a feasibility study be performed to analyze different alternatives for a pedestrian beach access crossing PCH. The feasibility study was completed in August 2026, and it evaluated a underground tunnel, at-grade signalized crossing, and a bridge over PCH. The report determined that the bridge was the most feasible, and it was based on evaluating things such as traffic impact, maintenance, connectivity, footprint, security, stakeholder approvals, right-of-way, and cost. So in moving forward with the alternative that was determined most feasible, Senator Allen was able to secure $11 million in state earmark funds in 2021. And the first scope of this project was to prepare a project initiation document. So in Caltrans, that would be called the Project Study Report and Project Development Study, which was executed in April 2025. And now the current phase that we are in is called the Project Approval and Environmental Documentation Phase, PA&ED. And as we move forward with this phase, we were able to develop 3 bridge alignments, which Matt will be presenting. Thank you.
Thanks, Sylvia. So Sylvia mentioned during that first phase of the project, the team on this call today looked at over a dozen, up to I think 20 different alignments, ways of getting people from the north side of PCH to the beach side of PCH. And of those different alignment options that we looked at, working with the city, looking at site constraints, utility conflicts, coordinating with state parks, county beaches and harbor, Caltrans, looking at existing utilities. We've settled on 3 alignments that we're considering for the project. And one of these will take through the environmental process to look at environmental impacts and get Caltrans approval on what the facility would look like going over PCH and their right of way. So this first option would tie into the existing path that comes down the slope on from George Wolfberg Park. And there's a nice, and Zoltan can describe these with much more colorful language than I can. So I bring the engineering aspect and he'll bring more of the architectural and community-based language. But this first one has 2 pigtail ramps on the ends of it and crosses over PCH with a skewed alignment. So it provides nice views of the beach as you and the coast as you traverse across PCH and come up on the ramps to get over PCH and then come back down on the spiral ramp. The second alternative that we looked at, this one is we refer to as the corkscrew alternative. This one again ties in on the north side of PCH with a sloping ramp that comes up and gets you above PCH. Then we cross over and has this nice unique shape. Looks like a corkscrew when you look down on it from above, and gets you down to the parking lot at State Park there and County Park. And then the last option we looked at, this one we call the paperclip option because it looks sort of like a paperclip that's been unfolded. Has a similar ramp to the second option on the north side of PCH, and you cross over PCH in the parking lot and then ramp down get relatively close to the bathroom facility there, and then come back under itself and put you on an existing bike path there. Zoltan, do you want to chime in with any extra description of the three alternatives?
I'd like to switch on a bit. Yep, to turn
I
it
mean,
on.
yeah, yeah. Not so much as further description, but more to add to the process of these were sort of our initial. I mean, of the 17 or so that we came up with, these were the ones that were most favored. But most importantly, that as the process unfolds now, with more studies of the soil, more studies of some of the other aspects of the issues of the site, we may be looking at something completely might different come out of this, but they'd be all some derivative of this, because we will probably need to be looking at some of the more some of the technical issues perhaps may alter some of these ideas. And really, I think just to stress that, as Sylvia said, we're at the very beginning of this process, and we're at the very beginning of the exploration phases of things, and this will evolve iteratively as we move forward. Next.
Thanks, Zoltan. So for the project approach, I'm going to cover some of the stuff. Jason will talk more about the public outreach later, but we do plan to engage the public throughout the process. We had the first general public meeting. We met with PPCC back in 2023, and then again in 2024 we had our first public meeting, and then there's 3 more public meetings planned throughout this phase of the project next February. And then likely fall of 2026, and then again in spring of 2027, where we'd be presenting options and also getting feedback and input from the community to make sure that what we're proposing works with the community's desires. The preliminary engineering that we'll be completing during this task is looking at the 3 alternatives that we just presented, and vetting those and coming up with one recommended alternative. And then also what we're going to be doing during this phase of the project is evaluating the slope uphill from the project that's at the base of George Wolfberg Park, looking at the existing slope stability there. And then there's also a seismic fault that runs through the project area, and our geotechnical engineer for that is going to locate that fault as well. Bart, I see you have a hand up. You want to ask a quick question? You're muted, Bart.
I can wait till you're finished if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do questions at the end so we can get through everything. Maybe your question will get answered
Sure.
as we go through the presentation, but yeah, feel free to keep your hand up. Thanks. And then, we have Tim Hayes here from SOMAS, leading the Caltrans coordination effort. We had this preliminary environmental analysis report that was signed in April of 2025 that really guides the level of environmental documentation that we'll be doing during this phase of the project. And we've identified that we'll be doing a categorical exclusion and an initial study, most likely with mitigated negative declaration. Expect that to be completed in winter of 2026, and then project approval from Caltrans for both the environmental document and the preliminary engineering in spring of 2027, with construction at this time planned for 2029 and beyond. Christina, I see you have your hand up as well, and let's go ahead and we'll save questions for the end.
If you want to just finish, because there will be other people with questions too, including myself. So
Yeah.
Why don't you just finish and then we'll take questions.
Perfect. In terms of public agency stakeholders, there's quite a few agencies that are involved in this. California Coastal Commission, the permit that the city has with the Coastal Commission for the park includes providing access across PCH, and so that's one of the major drivers for this project. California State Parks has a hand in this project, as it's their land that the LA County Beaches and Harbors manages. So their Beaches and Harbors is involved, as well as LA County Public Works. And then Caltrans is providing oversight on the environmental clearance and engineering design as it crosses over their facility. So quite a few stakeholders, public agencies in this City of LA BOE-led project. I touched on this a little bit before with the environmental documentation. We did do that preliminary environmental analysis report for Caltrans that was signed by Caltrans in April 2025. And that identified potential biological issues, cultural issues, noise impacts, visual impacts that need to be studied during this next phase of the project. And it identified the anticipated environmental approval required. And that's what led us to for NEPA, the National Environmental Protection Act, a categorical exclusion was the level of documentation that was deemed appropriate. And then for CEQA, an initial study is what will be performed. We'll be preparing technical studies based on the recommendations provided in the pair for the different resources that need to be investigated. And if there's any impacts, those will be mitigation measures for those impacts will be developed during this phase of the project. And I'll turn it over to Jason to walk through the community outreach plan for the next phase of the project.
Thanks, Matt. As Matt mentioned, there are 4 meetings that were part of this first series. Obviously, we had our first meeting. Hopefully, many of you already participated in that process. That was really just kind of an initial project awareness, technical process, kind of path forward. Obviously, we were derailed a little bit in the timing of things in the recent events, but we're looking forward to coming back and seeing you all again in the public in February 2026. And as we did before, we wanted to see you first and make that first contact. The PPCC and others in the community were actually very active, as well as CD11, in helping to get the word out, make sure the public was involved in this process. And so we look forward to partnering with you folks again and really driving that awareness, especially with the community fractured the way it is. We want to make sure that the audience that this doesn't happen in a vacuum, that we actually reconnect with the community wherever they may be, and we'll work with you as best we can to make that happen. So with that in mind, we look forward to establishing the project again in 2026, providing an update on the path and the approach forward. Then in fall 2026, coming back, presenting the resolved alignments that Zoltan and team were kind of alluding to, bridge types and so forth, and then finally coming back in 2027 with the preferred alternative, which will, of course, at each stage we'll be collecting public input and folding that into the process and making sure that your voice and your perspectives are included in that end result.
We appreciate that so much, that you're coming to us first, because it makes a big difference. This community likes to be
100%.
involved with everything. We have several people with questions. I just have one quick one to get started. Is this pedestrian only, or has it ever been considered to have a bike path on this, or anything else other than just pedestrian?
Yeah, so I could answer that question. Right now it's going to be a pedestrian bridge, but we are considering bike path as well.
Would you have to make it wider then, or could you do it within the plan that you have?
Yeah, we are considering appropriate widths for bicyclists as well as pedestrians to be able to walk.
Okay. All right, great, thanks.
Mhm.
Bart, you were first.
Yeah, so in your environmental study, I'm questioning if you have looked at the impact on the neighborhood for the bridge, which is a mile north of you at Sunset, the Will Rogers Bridge into Casa Lamar, because it has been an artery for transients, and a lot of crime that happens in our neighborhood is people coming off the beach and coming into our neighborhood, and it's an unsupervised bridge. So have you taken that into consideration in your planning for this bridge, because it's a fact of life in Los Angeles and you can anticipate that it will happen? And with bicycles, there's nothing to stop electric bikes, which makes it a great place to do a break in and take off and not be found. So it's just something I want to bring up, so at least you're thinking about it in your environmental impact.
Thanks, Bart. Yeah, the environmental impact report, or environmental impacts, the environmental documents will be looking at impacts to the area of the project that will be impacted by it. And so we're looking at more localized impacts, but in terms of things that you bring up, like, you can tie that to public safety, right? That's definitely something that we'll be looking at as we move through project development, is how this, might impact public safety and how this, can be designed as a safe facility.
Okay, I'm happy to share the information I have on our bridge if you'd like to see it.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Bart. Chris?
Hi, yeah, thank you guys from BOE for presenting and from all the other agencies. Couple of quick questions and comments. First of all, I really appreciate what Sylvia said at the outset. They want to take into account, or you rather want to take into account where the community now is. So the community, I happen to be the at-large rep. Many people have reached out to me. The community is confused as to why this is coming up now when there's a lot of concern about other more important matters. I'm expressing what I've been told that are going on in the community, like, other infrastructure issues that are way more important to most people, rebuilding, all of these things. So I'm just conveying to you those concerns that are out there and asking that you think about that as you move forward. Secondly, can you tell us where we can access the PAIR document? I don't know if anybody's hearing me.
Yes.
We can
We'd
hear
like
you,
to be
Chris.
able to we'd like to access that. Is that on your website somewhere?
The PAIR document has not been posted on the project website, and Sylvia, I'll defer to you on how you want to,
If you could do that, that would be appreciated. A lot of us would like to look at that. And the last question, I'll try to be brief. Do you have any idea of, or guesstimate, let's put it that way, as to the actual cost beyond the 11 million? That's really what a lot of us are also interested in. Thank you.
Yes, as of now in our project initiation document, we have just it's really like an opinion level type of estimate as we develop and again, keep in mind we need to establish the alternative that's going to be chosen, which could change depending on our field investigation. But just a rough range estimate that could range from 13 to $18 million for the construction of the project.
Thanks. And can you tell us when or where we can access the PAIR?
Right now, we'll have to see if we're able to put it up on our website or maybe share with the council district to provide that information.
Okay.
Okay, we'll check with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jessica?
Hi, everyone. First of all, I just have to mention how impressed I am that the city of Los Angeles is working with all these different departments and is organizing meetings with us, and you have a whole schedule. What's happening? Somebody was, anyway, I'm just really impressed by that and grateful. I'm grateful that you're including Caltrans in the project and that there's going to be studies. None of that happened for the Gladstones project. So I'm just sitting here in awe with all these incredible things that are going to happen in the decision-making process of such an important change to our community. PPRA is incredibly concerned about safety. That is one of our primary missions for our existence. And I'd like for you to consider in your budgeting, if this bridge actually comes to be, and in this very critical time in our rebuilding of our community and the vulnerability that we are in, that you consider the amount of funding you're going to need to provide for safety. The city of Los Angeles the mayor has told me directly to my face that she has no additional funding for safety for the Pacific Palisades. And with construction coming for the next decade, we need to be able to assure that if we're going to bring more access points into our community, that there's proper safety there. So I'd just like to bring that up and for you in your consideration when you're doing your budget line. It's very important that that gets covered. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, safety is a big concern for the community, we know, and we acknowledge that and want to ensure that that is at our top priority. Whatever design elements we have for safety, we'll make sure that we have secured the sufficient funding for the construction of the bridge and those safety elements as well.
When I meant safety, I didn't mean the actual safety of us walking on the bridge and not getting hurt.
Right.
Safety
Right.
for criminals coming into the community or
Right.
to escape from the community via the bridge. Just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Lori?
Oh, yes, thank you. Yes, I also want to say thank you for coming tonight and being so willing to have community input. And I appreciate what Bart and Chris and Jessica have all said. I'm the Area 6 rep, so I represent the people that live adjacent to the to Potrero Canyon. So I just want to put out there again, please, that people's backyards are adjacent to Potrero Canyon. The Wolfberg Park, George Wolfberg Park, is not patrolled right now. And so at any given time, there could, if somebody stays in the park past sunset, they can open the door and let others in. So again, the safety is such a big thing. It's just super important. Again, because it goes right through, adjacent to people's backyards. Also, I just have to put this out there, just wondering why we would use this money for the bridge when we're going to have a way to get to the beach through the pedestrian trail that's going to be built. So I understand that $11 million was secured, but it's going to cost more than that. And it's just hard to understand, as Jessica was saying, we don't have enough money to rebuild, from everything that was lost that we already had. So I'm just putting it out there that it's hard to understand why extra money would go into something like this when we are going to have access via the pedestrian trail. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, so the funding agreement that we have in place with Caltrans for this project was allocated specifically to address major problems and accident concerns with PCH, having the park open and high speed and people not wanting to walk to the nearest signalized intersection. So that's the reason why the funds were allocated to the project. And although we have 11 million as we develop the project, it is something that we will be looking for additional grant money where there is a shortfall and to going into construction. Thank you. And then Leanne?
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. And what the others have said, Bart, Chris, Jessica, and now Lori, is very meaningful. The last time we met, I had asked for some transparency. I would like to see a chart for what you've spent so far and what you expect, so we really understand the financial implications here. We know with Potrero Park, it went from 13 million to an excess to 50 million. And it is really important that it be patrolled or you're just throwing more trouble at us. In Lori's neighborhood, we heard from the people on the rim are the only people that matter in that discussion. They just had their homes burned down, and you're going to allow for people to come homeless, live below them, and possibly light a fire again. I mean, it's just insane to listen to. So we would need 24/7 security, or we're not going to let this happen. It's ridiculous. We could still end at the hill, use the lateral trail, and you don't have to walk all the way down. It's such an easy fix. I also would love to see a use study. I asked for that last time. I'd like to know, how many people do you expect? Are we going to be the ghost bridge that no one even bothers with? We have 2 beautiful mobile home parks that have to push a button and to cross the street. We know we've had a lot of fatalities at Temescal. We had a report on that in these previous meetings. So I really want to understand what is happening here, and especially financially. When you say there are all these stakeholders, are they financial stakeholders, I hope? And maybe you can answer some of those questions.
Sure, thank you. So as far as sharing the, expenditures for the project, that is something that we would have to discuss internally with our accounting side, but we can assure you that the funds, have to be regulated and specific to the project, and that we do go in through a thorough analysis when talking about expending on the design of the project. And as far as the concerns with, homelessness and safety, as I mentioned earlier, those are concerns that we want to assure that, again, safety is at the top priority for us. And the primary goal of this project is to improve the pedestrian safety and connectivity. Again, we have an agreement with Caltrans for the state to develop this project. And so that's what we're doing with the expenditure and funds of the project right now.
Okay,
So
thanks.
basically, I don't hear any answers.
Leanne, we need to get on. We've got all these people asking questions. Sorry. Carrie? Carrie Weaver?
Yes, hi, thank you.
Hi.
Yeah, I just kind of wanted to, I'm kind of a continuation of Bart, Chris, Jessica, Lori, and Leanne. You mentioned earlier something about the history of this, and then I have a couple of questions after, but can you remind me what you said about the history of this project, where it came about?
Yeah, the Coastal Commission permit for the George Wilbur Park required a feasibility study to provide and analyze alternatives for a crossing connecting the park to the beach through PCH. And so some of those alternatives that I had mentioned, that feasibility study that was done in 2016 included like an underground tunnel, a signalized crossing, and and the bridge. And so in that analysis and report, the bridge was determined to be the most feasible. So then the Senator Allen had secured the funding for that project. And in that agreement, it's just specific for development of the project. So it initially came from the Coastal Commission permit.
Okay,
And
and
that's
are
in,
those funds, are you aware, are those funds earmarked for this, or can they be diverted to maybe another more important or pressing project within our community as we rebuild the community? Because I think we all are saying the same thing, which is this is very low on our priority list.
You know
And
what,
we
Carrie?
prefer the funds going somewhere else.
I had a conference call this afternoon with Senator Allen, and
Okay.
these funds are earmarked for this project only.
Okay.
They can't be moved to another project. And the fact of the matter is, if for any reason this project doesn't go forward or is rejected, we run the risk of just basically losing all the money. So the money can't go to something else, even though many people think something else might be more critical at this point in the history of Pacific Palisades. This is a long-term project and funds are secured and they really can't be moved.
Okay,
Well-
that was you answered my question, so they can't be moved. Okay,
Yeah,
thank
okay.
you.
Thanks.
yeah, and I mean,
Rob?
I just want to jump
Rob?
in real
Oh,
quick. I
go
mean,
ahead. Yeah.
I think there's two things that we're hearing is like the timing for what we're doing right now is not optimal, right? The fires happened, and Sylvia and I have had long conversations and Jose about this, about is this the right time to do it? And the with these projects, they have such a long time to get through environmental clearance until they're actually constructed. If we delay, that's just everything costs more every year, right? And so the longer we wait, then the more likely that this won't get done, which maybe, that's what some people want. But so the money, like you just said, Sue, is earmarked and can't be used for other things. And that's hard for me as a taxpayer to get my mind wrapped around. It's like there's these other pressing needs. Why can't we move it? But the way that these things work, that's earmarked and that's what's set aside for that. And then Sylvia touched on the Coastal Commission permit as well. And that's the Coastal Development Permit. And that's something that's been around I want to say since maybe the late 80s, early 90s. So it's, we're seeing this in this kind of condensed schedule right now. We're like, why are you doing this project right after these fires? But it's something that's been in the work for decades and is, it's just, this is part of the process. So I think Sylvia and I are both well aware of the community impacts and just maybe some of the optics around kind of the timing, but this is how it's working right now.
Matt, can I
Okay,
add
thanks.
something real quick?
Please.
There's a comment online that says, can I ask at this point, what is the point of the bridge? So I think there may be a number of new people to the project, new to PPCC possibly, that hadn't participated before. Can we just give a very quick overview of the intention, the purpose of it, and why it was deemed? It kind of goes to the point of using the trail versus using the bridge.
Sylvia, do you want to take on that one?
Yeah, okay. So again, currently the park at the south of the park, there's a closed gate. There's no lateral trail right now or connection point across uh, to provide connectivity to the beach. So it leaves users to have to go back up to the parking lot, drive down to the beach. And the concern really is that they're not going to want to do that. And, jaywalking and PCH and the accidents have reported. It's really the intent and primary goal of the bridge is to provide pedestrian safety and connectivity.
Okay, thank you. Rob Weber, do you have a question?
No, I'll just comment like everybody else has, except my views are going to be different, which is I want to thank the team that's come today for continuing to study this bridge. This is, as Matt just said, a project that's been promised to the community since the middle 80s. This has been discussed ad nauseum at community events since I moved to the community in the early 2000s. The purpose of the bridge is safety. Access to the beach, access to the beach from George Wolfberg Park was a requirement of the coastal permit when the coastal permit was issued in the 80s. So you're right, the timing of this now is awkward, of course, but this is a project that's been in the works for decades, and it's a project that when completed will benefit the community for decades, long after every one of us on this call is gone. This is for our children, our children's children, and not just for people who live on the rim. I mean, I live adjacent to the park, and I think that this is something that is extremely worthwhile. In terms of the safety issues, I'll just say this, and I'm going to use the word homeless. I'm not going to use the word safety because that's what people are concerned about. I'm concerned about that too. And when we developed George Wolfberg Park, we made that park a park with fences and a park with gates that lock at night. And we made it with to avoid areas where homeless people could hide and camp out. This was all very intentional. And it's my understanding that from the time that the park opened until the fires happened, there were no issues with homeless. So I think those mitigation measures worked. If there's additional mitigation measures that people suggest, I'm all for that. But I think there's hundreds, if not thousands of people who've expressed support for this bridge over the decades, who are still there because it's going to keep people from getting killed running across PCH in the future. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Sharon?
Yeah, just going back to an issue that we spoke of at a past meeting about locking the bridge down at the PCH side. So it'll basically be locked at the same hours as the park is open. Is that still something in your project? Because I really believe that that really needs to take place for the safety of the community and our hillsides. And I don't know if you know, but those hillsides that are adjacent to the bridge area on both sides were home to about 60 embedded encampments. And it took us about 3 years to get those people housed and all cleaned up. So we don't want to do that again. So to ensure the safety of the bridge has a locking mechanism on the other end so people cannot trot over there in the evening and start warming fires, because that will happen, I guarantee you. I've been doing this for a long time. So that's my question. Is that locking system going to be in place at the bottom of the bridge?
Yes, Sharon, that was something that was brought up in the first community meeting as well as providing locks for the bridge. And it's something that, we mentioned that we would consider as well with other security or safety elements that could be implemented for the project. But at the moment, because we are in the project approval environmental document phase, we're focusing on the field investigation and approval of alignment and our stakeholders approval for that alignment, that as we move forward into the design phase once and if the project is approved, then we'd be able to confirm, what that security implementation for the bridge would be. But we are noting it down as a suggestion from the community.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, I've got 6 more questions. Please let them be brief, because we do need to move on. So Cindy, you're next. Okay, I don't know what happened to Cindy. Joe Halper?
I'm sorry, Sue?
There she is. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I appreciate my good friend Rob's comments that, and I believe him when he says there's hundreds, even thousands of people who are enthusiastically in favor of the bridge. But I have to say that I know an equally a number of people who are not in favor. The second thing is I'd like to really discourage bicycles. This is not a bike path. It's not an extension of the back of a bike path. It's a passive park. And once we allow bikes in, it's going to bring a whole nother level of traffic and just, it's a passive park. Let's have a nice place where people can walk in peace and quiet.
Okay, thanks. Joe?
Cindy, just to add that regarding the bike path is again something that is not set in stone. Again, we need to work with our stakeholders and Rec and Parks and their policy for the bikes on the George Wilbur Park and as well as Beaches and Harbor on their end as well. So
okay, I'm gonna call on Joe Halper.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for all the work, everybody, and it's concerned here. I happen to serve on the Recreation and Parks Board of Commissioners at the time this project was brought forward. And I just give you a little tight, small background here. The Coastal Commission required a connection between the George Wilbur's Park and the beach. So that's part of the Coastal Commission's requirement for this project. The lateral trail, the distance from the entrance to the lateral trail, the crossing there is much too far for safe use. People behavior is such that the chances are we'll have people walking across PCH at that point. A great deal of study has gone into this over a long period of time, and the conclusion was that the bridge was the most viable and safe determination. So with that, I leave you with the reasons for the fact that the bridge was considered and appropriations were made for it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joe. Kim?
Thank you, Sue. I understand these prior requirements, and I'm hearing that this was all started in the 80s, which is quite a while ago. I've lived here since 1991 and know that things have significantly changed in our community. And the fire recently is, we can't, I mean, it's ruined our town. There's no doubt that it has ruined our town. Lives were lost, 6,800 structures are gone. This is not the time to build a bridge over PCH, regardless of any predisposed conditions. It just isn't. If we lose the money, let's earmark it for later. But
okay, well, that unfortunately is not possible.
I just want to say one more thing. I hate to say, the optics are the most important thing because they're not. But the optics now for politicians to support this is awful. We are concerned about infrastructure, not a bridge that would be nice to have, across PCH. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Miriam?
Thank you, Sue. So the last time this team was here, and hi, everyone, it's lovely to see you again, with the exception of Sylvia, who was on maternity leave. The PPCC had several questions. People chimed in, much the way they're doing now. That meeting was on the heels of a couple of other meetings that we had had, which informed the meeting that we had with you. And over again, people say the same thing, with the exception of the voices that usually attend this meeting and speak in favor of the bridge. Most people speak out about reservations. And that has always been the case for as long as I remember. And I've been involved with PPCC for more than a decade. The first time I was chair literally was probably more than a decade ago. People talk about safety. And as Jessica says, not the safety of walking over the bridge, but the safety element that it introduces into this community. So the last time that we heard from you, we emerged with a letter from the PPCC. What that letter said was that we acknowledge that there's a requirement for coastal access, and we acknowledge that there has been a determination that the bridge is the best way to achieve that access. But we're still requiring community feedback and constant community communication along the way so that our concerns can be addressed. And as you see, again, those concerns are focused on security. So I want to say, as you look at various options 1 through 3 and the way that the bridge is, structured or the architecture, I beg you to please be in tune to the security needs that we talk about. And as Kim says, the way that they change because our entire community has changed in a substantive way. The other thing I want to say is, yes, we have $11 million, but we've also been told that that $11 million is not going to be enough. So I would hate for us to see a bridge that begins construction without having financing in place. I would not like for us to see a half-built bridge that has to be abandoned because either the optics are bad or the money isn't in place. I understand that that's difficult because the longer it takes for you to get the money, the more expensive the bridge is. But please secure the rest of the money that we need before you begin to build the bridge. That's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Miriam. I'm going to call on Anya next.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, for over 35 years, the community's been working on this with lots and lots of community input, and it's really hard to go backwards. These projects take many decades to get completed, and it's hard to be patient. It's hard when you come in new, you've just moved to the community and haven't been part of the 35 years of process, but it's hard to go backwards. We've got this money secured. And definitely, the additional funds are going to need to be secured to make up the difference, before building gets begun. But having this bridge was determined to be the best option over a really deep dive in exploring it. It's going to keep people safe from crossing PCH and getting hit by cars. This is something that's been going on for years, and this gives people another option without having to walk another half a mile. It's the safest path to the beach from the Palisades. It provides an emergency evacuation pathway, which, if there's earthquakes, if there's other urban fires, wildfires, and the community has supported this bridge consistently over many years.
Not true.
It also allows an active transportation connectivity for Palisades residents to reach the beach, to get to a bike path, to go south to MTA and get all over LA without using a car. And active transportation is really what we need in the future. So,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anya, so much. Thanks for coming. Been such a big part of it. Dave?
Yes, hi. I've been part of this project since 2005, actually 2003. And I want to stress that this bridge will provide the safest route and the most direct route to the beach for all Palestinians, especially the young people. Young people are the ones who may not use the best judgment and try to run across 6 lanes of 60-mile-an-hour PCH. It's now back up to that now that the speed limit's been changed. And we've seen deaths on PCH. We've seen people try to jaywalk. We have pictures of it. And it's really important also to note that after the fire, we have evidence that we need more evacuation routes from the Palisades. If you're stuck in traffic and gridlocked, like people trying to escape from the Highlands, you would much prefer to have a way to get out where you could walk or run across PCH safely so that you can save your lives, save your family, and avoid another catastrophe. This could also help in earthquakes because I'm sure this bridge will be built to withstand earthquakes, and that's another emergency that it could provide an outlet for us. I would also state that the $11 million is from taxpayers from all over the state of California. It's their taxpayer money that we're blessed to be able to use to build this bridge. The bridge will benefit not just the Palisades, but everyone who goes to Will Rogers State Beach and wants to take part in the George Wolfberg Park of Potrero. That's a great exercise, running up into the canyon across the bridge and doing it safely. And it's also, I think, the bridge should be a part of the bike path and part of the bike use and active use. I know that I'm looking forward to doing that when it opens up, assuming I'm still around. And I would also like to say that PPCC has supported this bridge in votes in 2004 and also through the Potrero Canyon Community Advisory Committee appointed by the mayor and the city council back in 2005. The report came out in 2008 that made the bridge the #1 priority for safe crossing from the park to the beach and vice versa. And that hasn't changed. In fact, in 2023, only a couple of years ago, the PPCC voted 13-3 with 3 abstentions to go ahead with this pre-design, and that the Bureau of Public Works approved a couple days after that vote. And that's
Dave, I'm so sorry to interrupt you,
Thank
but
you.
I have a couple more. We got to go because
Thank you.
we're running so over. But thank you for that, and I hope you're still around to use the bridge. I really do.
Yes.
Okay, Juan Fregoso.
Hey, Sue and everybody. Juan Fregoso, District Director with Councilwoman Park. Thank you again for being here. We've been tracking this since we came into office, and I heard a lot of the public safety things, which we know is a big concern, and I've heard a lot. Some of the things that even us as an office have been looking at kind of beyond the resources, and I think we committed to over the last few meetings was we heard a lot about the hours of operation in terms of working with everyone to make sure we definitely looked at how long the bridge is open and what we can do to make sure that it's secured. Some of the locked automatic locks and things like that, we heard a lot from constituents that were used nearby. Those are all things that we're going to push on. I know we're in budget cuts and all these other things on that end, but as you all seen, the timeline here is very forth looking on that end, and we're also committed to additional OT with our PD officers as we get it, and we've even discussed working with getting additional ranger support. Those are all things on the back end that we as an office are pushing on because we've heard a lot about these safety concerns. So just wanted to remind the community that we're still very actively hearing you on those concerns and are pushing on our end to make sure that we have some of those mechanisms in place to address the safety concerns with lighting, again, even on the homelessness outreach services. So please feel free to reach out to your field deputy or Roos or our office if you guys want to discuss that a little bit more in depth. But all those are things that are still kind of ways away, but things that we are definitely looking at as a council office and as a city as a whole.
Juan, thank you so much for coming on and for adding that because I think it makes everyone feel a little bit better. And please tell Councilwoman Park, thank you. Okay, with that, I want to say thank you so much, guys, for coming on and providing this update. Again, it's wonderful to have you come and do this throughout your entire process, whether it's 5 years or 25 years, rather than hitting us with it as an already done project. So thank you for spending the time tonight. Okay.
Can I add one last thing for you?
Yes.
Adding in the chat the link that's on screen.
Okay.
For anyone that hadn't participated or wants a refresher, the video from the previous meeting is on the website, and the fact sheet and other information from that first round of engagement. So that is available to prepare before our upcoming meeting. We hope all
Okay.
of you will join us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay.
everyone.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Moving right along. We are now going to go back to our regular agenda, which is general public comment.
Mhm.